don't forget. But how about let's just wait for 1 or 2 minutes just for a few more people to come. Okay, I think that's about most of the people here, I guess. So let's just get started. Wait 1 minute for me to get everything set up ish. Okay. Right. So, okay, I'm going to share screen. So welcome to part 3 of this course, I guess. So first of all, let us open everything back up from the previous class. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, let's just open a browser. How about I'm going to use Safari this time because it's my default browser. You can use any one you want. They work all basically exactly the same way. Okay, so now we open the browser. Let's just put that aside. And the next thing we need to do is find the folders that your files are in. So for me, the folder is on your desktop. So yeah, just click the website folder. If you double click it, it opens it up in your file manager. And here we can see that we have the file, right? So double click that, it opens it up. Now inside the folder, we have the index.html file, and just double click it, and it should open right up in your web browser in this first window right here. Okay. Wait, I'm just going to open the chat and everything. But just in case someone has to ask something. But okay, so let's just switch to the website here, and now we have this opened up. Great. Okay, Claire, you raise your hand. You can just put it in the chat. I'll answer it later. Right, now we have to open the text editor itself. So what you can do is instead of double clicking on the file, you can right click. So just right click. And now you can see on the right click menu, there's something called Open With. And it gives you a bunch of different apps. The one we're going to click is Sublime Text right here. So just open it with Sublime Text. And it should open right up. If you don't know how to do right click, what you do is basically tap on your trackpad with 2 fingers, or if you have the mouse, you just click the left button here. But yeah, just right click menu. I'm going to do that again. So right click, you can see all of these options. Hover your mouse over the Open With menu. For Windows, it will be somewhere on the bottom, but hover Open With, and now click Open Sublime Text. So yeah, now we have this opened. We can close this file manager window if you want. We don't need that anymore. And now we just have the web browser right here and our code. Okay, so let's just do a quick review. So basically what my point with the previous 2 classes is that websites are just a file and that you download, right? When you go to a website, it basically finds a file somewhere, downloads it, and then opens it up in your web browser. And that's all done automatically. And one of the files that it downloads is called the HTML file. And this is a main file. And this file basically gets to put, what is on the web page and everything that is on the web page. There's a few other files, but this is the main one. And this is the code that we did last time, where we had hello as a header and then people at the bottom. But this is just our basic simple website. So just to do a recap, these things are called tags. So for tags, you have this, right? The less than sign and the greater than sign. In the middle, there's these the name of the tag. So these less than signs and greater than signs, we call them angle brackets in code, but it's just a symbol for tag. This whole thing is a tag. And also all tags have to end with ending tag, which is the same as a beginning tag, except just a slash. And the stuff in between is the content. So, and then the bottom in the next line, it works exactly the same way. Starting tag, ending tag, and the content. And the names of these tags decide what type of thing it is. So for example, H1 stands for header one, which is one of the biggest headers. So yeah, it stands for header one. And P stands for paragraph. So it's a smaller text, which is used most commonly to write a paragraph. Right. How to get there? I shown you previously where you can download the text editor and everything, but if you have any questions after class, I can answer it. So we have these two tags. I have also shown briefly previously that you can have tags inside of tags. So technically, you don't need to follow what I did here, but technically you can have an H tag, a P tag, or a paragraph tag inside of a header one tag like this. And technically that works, but you probably shouldn't do that because there's no reason that the paragraph should be inside of a header, right? Paragraph should be like only after it or before, but it shouldn't really be inside, but it can be. But this doesn't really make sense, so let's just delete that. What does make sense though is, for example, if you have a paragraph and you want to insert a link inside of that paragraph, you can make a special tag called the link, something with like a link, and you can do that. But we're gonna get to that a bit later in the class. Now, let's just save the file like this. So we have to get the website to change, we save the file with Control or Command S to save, and then we can just reload the file by clicking the reload button. Reload the website, I mean. So, so let's just go back to the website for a moment. When you're most familiar with the website is probably the actual website part, so like the window, so everything from here to here. This is the main website, but in a website, in the code, there's actually a bit more information than what's just shown on the screen. So to show you an example, we can go to my website again, or open any website you want. You can open Google, you can open just anything you want, but you can go to my website, tonyjohn.net, or you can just watch me explain for this moment. You don't need to go right now. But so for example, my website, what you notice, first of all, is everything that's on the page, all of the text, everything. But other than that, there's a few more things. For example, you can see that there's an icon. And then if you switch the tab, there's also like a header or a title for the website. So the information that's not shown directly on the web page itself is called the head. So for example, the icons, the title, etc., is not shown on the web page, like in this bottom area on the this part. It's called the head, and then everything else, like the main part of the website, is called the body. So what that means is that we need to put a body and a head inside of our code. So let's just switch to this tab now on the browser, and we can just start writing. It is really simple. The body is just another tag with the name body. So just like you thought, it's just very simple. You just write the angle bracket body and then close it, just like any other tag. I just filled in these stuff, but just like any other tag, and you have to put your cursor, right click, go to the very bottom, and then end it, so slash body. And now everything here is in the body. You can press save, Command S or Control S, save, and then reload the web page. And now you can see it did seemingly nothing. Now we do the head. Head is not inside of the body, head is a separate part. So what we can do is angle bracket head, and then close that angle bracket. And now we can also end the head thing. So type another thing that's head, so the closing tag and the starting tag. Now everything inside is a tag, head. So here's what you do. In the head, all we're gonna do for now is just make a title for the web page. So we can just write the word title. And if you press the tab key on the keyboard, it auto completes it, right? And then it automatically types that for you just to save you a bit more time. But if you don't want to do that, you can also obviously just type it out yourself. But right, you have this now. The title, just name it whatever you want. Just for demonstration, I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that. And now if we save the file, reload the website, you can see that nothing changes, but that's just because it's showing the URL right now. But if we switch to a new tab, it shows the actual title, and it's basically the thing that it shows up on your tab bar, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it shows up here on your tabs. So that's what the title does, and it goes inside the head. There's a few more things that you could put in the head, like the language or the icon, as I said, but I'm too lazy to find an image right now, so let's just do the title for now. Now, everything, so if you select everything actually goes inside another tag called HTML. So there's a tag called HTML inside of HTML for some reason, but you have to contain everything inside of it. So if you write the HTML tag on the very beginning and then end it with another HTML tag, right? So now it's a bunch of tags. It might seem a lot more complicated, but it does the same thing. So the reason that we need to have this is basically it's like a standard, or it's like the standard convention, or how you must do this. You technically don't need to, but it is very, very recommended, and you 100% need this for it to work properly. And it just makes the code more organized, in my opinion. Now, just to make it more clear to see which tags are inside of which, you can use the tab key on your keyboard again to give it a bit of indent. It doesn't matter if you do or not, right? The browser doesn't really care, but it's just so that you can see it more clearly. And now everything inside the head, everything should be indented inside the HTML because it's a parent. You can call it a parent tag. So parent tag is the thing that contains children tags. So let's just indent everything by 1 tab. Just like that, you just click to the next line, tab, next line, tab. So now you can see a bit more clearly where something is. So you can see that these things are inside the HTML clearly, and you can see that this is inside the body and this is inside the head. Great. Now just save the file. Okay, so there's one thing that's actually outside of the HTML tag, so the outermost tag. And it's a bit like a special piece of text that tells your browser what file it is, like that tells your browser it's an HTML file, basically. I don't know why it's needed, but it's just there for a reason. So type the less than sign, and then actually you type an exclamation mark. So this is different from everything else that we have seen. And then we type in all capital letters doc type, so which stands for document type. Doc type HTML, like that. And now we just end it with an angle bracket. We don't have like a closing tag for this. We just have this just 1 tag. And again, if you save this and reload, it does basically nothing, but this is just how all websites work, and as a standard, you must use it, or some things might break. Right. Now you can see that we wasted basically you can think that we wasted a lot of time just to do the setup code, just typing it, and it didn't change the website at all. But so that's why for most text editors, there's actually a shortcut that you can use. So let's say just for a moment, we delete everything. So we can just press the delete thing. You can follow me, you can just, or you can just not, but I'm just going to demonstrate this. So let's just say we delete everything here and start with a big new file. So if we save it and reload, nothing exists anymore. We can actually literally just type HTML, these 4 short characters, and hit the tab key, and it auto completes everything that we just typed. So for the title, we can just name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again, or we can say hello. Why not? Right? So we can say hello. And you can see that if we go to a new tab, you can see the hello is here displayed on your tab bar. Great. And here in the body, we can write the stuff that's the content of our website. So we can write H1 and then you can press tab and it auto expands into the tags. And you can say hello and then do the same thing with P, right? On the line B after that. And you can say hello people. And now if you save the file, we get everything that we've shown before. And now there's another tag that we haven't typed before, and this is good to include it, but it's not necessary, but it's good to include it if it just auto-completes. You don't need to worry too much if you don't understand, but meta basically means describing the website itself. So it's a bit of information about the website itself. And char set, you can see that it's a weird thing like this, but it's basically describing what file encoding it is in. You don't need to worry about it but that's basically what it is. The important thing though is this part that it's not what it actually is, but the syntax of how it looks like. So these things are called attributes. Attributes are basically, you can think of it as an option for your code, like settings or options for a tag. So this attribute's name or the settings name is char set, and the option or like the thing that is select and what is set to is UTF-8. So you can think of these as options. Just to give you another example of an attribute, you can maybe go to like the title tag between like in the starting tag right before the closing angle bracket thing. You can type something like name equals Tony, just name is something you want. And you can see it does exactly nothing. So, but this is an example of an attribute. It does nothing, but there's other attributes. So for example, you can have things like IDs, or you can have a bunch of other stuff that I won't go into just quite now. I will go into it for the later of the class, but these are called attributes, right? So now I think you probably have a good idea of how HTML works. Basically, it's like components, kind of that's built up with tags. So yeah, these are kind of like components, different parts, you can piece them together, you can put a header, you can put a paragraph. And now I'm going to show you a few other things that you can put. So let's say we want a link to my website. So let's say, we want to put a link to something. So how about we change this header to my name, or you can write whatever you want, but you can say like visit my website here, and then something, just a colon, I guess. And now here's how we put a link. So links are another tag, and you can put it inside the p tag, like I said before. So they're not actually called link, they're actually called A. I'm not sure why they are, but A stands for anchor. Anchor, I guess, is like a technical term for like anchoring a website to a link or a URL, but I'm really not that sure. So, but it's called an anchor. So visit my website here, you can say like, actually what we're going to do is make the here, so this word here, the link. So you can say something like here, visit my website here, and then you can put a period at the end. So now if you save the file and go to the web page and reload, you can see that it doesn't really do anything because we haven't put the link yet. So how the link works is basically just like another attribute, like I said before. So attribute is in the beginning starting tag, and you can just put a space here, right? And between these parts, and you can write Href. So Href is the same for links. It stands for like reference something. I'm not actually that certain, but basically it's a link thing. It will be used in a bunch of other places, but you can say Href. Now you have to put the full link, so you can't just do tonyandjohn.net. You have to include the previous like beginning part, so that would be https:// like that. Okay. So now we have that. You can save the file and reload. Now you can see that it automatically gets this like purple underline with, it's supposed to be blue, but if you visit it, it becomes purple. And now if you click it, it changes back into my website like that. So it directs to my website. So this is another example of how tags work. Right. So just to give you a few more examples of attributes that you can use in tags. So for example, for the A tag, this is an attribute, or you can think of it as a setting. So the setting is like where's the link, what the link should be, and we have set it to my website. You can also do whatever you want, but here's another one. It's called target. So what this is for is basically if you open a website, if you click this link right now, it just goes to this website and just deletes or like disappears my website. But if you want to open it in a new tab, what you can do is target equals about blank. So about colon blank, like that. So that means that now if you click, oops, what is happening? Okay. I think this is just a weird glitch on my browser. You can just ignore this, but I'm just going to open my folder again and double click the HTML. Great, now it works for some reason. Yeah, so if your website was weird and it says I couldn't load it, just go to your folder and click on the tab again. Right, so now you can see that if you click this, it actually opens a new tab with my website and leaves this website here, still here. So, all right. So this is one tag. So the tags we have learned is A tag. This is for a link. Let me show you another thing. So these are called lists. So you can say, how do you make lists? You can make, you can have lists like 1, 2, 3 if you want to do recipes. So let's change it to go of this website again. So let's say maybe you want to make a pizza recipe website. You can say pizza, right? Change the header to pizza. And let's just delete this, and we can make another header that's probably smaller. So what we can do is h2, which is basically another header, but it's smaller than h1. You can say like recipe, or you can say like ingredients, right? So now if we save, you can see that the big header pizza is a slightly smaller header called ingredients. And now we can add a list of the ingredients by doing making a tag called UL. So this stands for unordered list. So I don't know why it randomly fills in these stuff, but you can just delete that. Right. So start UL and then end UL. And now in between, we can put actual like list items. So inside this, there's actually another tag. So the tag is called LI, which stands for list item. And you can say, you just do that and complete, right? So in between the content of that tag would be flower, something like that. And maybe we can add another thing called what is on the pizza? Cheese, right? Close that, and we can just pepperoni. Let's just do 3 ingredients for now. And now if we save it, you can see that it automatically generates bullet points, which is really nice for our flour, cheese, and pepperoni. Great. And for UL stands for unordered list. Let's just go change that to OL, which stands for ordered list. And you can see what that does if you save and reload is that it changes it into 1, 2, 3. So now it titles it with numbers. My recommendation would be to use UL in this case because it doesn't matter what ingredients you get first. It just matters that you get all of them. But if you were to do something like a step-by-step thing, I would recommend you use OL just to say like first thing, second thing, and third thing. But we can use bullet points for now. So these are the different tags we learned. Let me think of another tag that's pretty useful. But right, so here's another tag. It's called div. Div is like a container. So div is like the standard generic default tag. I guess you can call it, it doesn't do anything. So if you were to write div, I don't know, add the end right here. So call it, press enter to make a few lines, and then div. So it automatically expands. It's not a piece of text. You can write text here just like normal, and it shows up as regular text, kind of like a paragraph. But what it does is its goal or its job, you can think of it, is to contain other elements. That's all it is. So you can put a paragraph tag here. You can say hello, and on the bottom, inside of it, you might want to put, I don't know, like an A tag, not an A tag like that. That's like a link to something. I don't know, but my point is div is for containing stuff. So you don't see the div right here, but if you use the web inspector, so Control Command Control Shift C, right? You can see that it's kind of grouped together with this box as an inspector here. So you can open it and you can see all of our code on your inspector, on your browser. So you can see all of the code we did here. But it's a container. It's not that useful right now, but it will be really useful later. Okay, just before we end the class, I'm going to show you another tag. So this tag will be, so this tag will be for like kind of formatting. So for example, let's just add a paragraph tag that's like, this is my favorite recipe for, is that how recipe is spelled, or is it recipe? Recipe, yeah. I think that's how it's spelled. Favorite recipe for a pizza. Period. So you can see that now as a text. But if you want to make something bold or italics, you can actually add a tag inside. So for example, if you want to make favorite italics, the tag is called EM for emphasis. So, right, it's called emphasis, like this. So if you save it right now, you can see that it makes it italics to kind of emphasize it. If you want to make it bold, you can do strong. So like just like that, strong. And now you can do save, right, and reload, and it becomes bold. Great. Now just a few extra things to explain. So why is it not called like bold and italics, but called strong and emphasis? It's because the principle for HTML tag naming is basically that you don't name it after what it actually does, but you name it after the meaning it conveys. So another example would be UL, which stands for unordered list. It's not called bullet list or anything like that because it's supposed to convey the meaning that it's unordered. And the browser just chooses to show that as bullet points, but it might change in the future. So strong and emphasis, it shows like it's defined based on the meaning of the thing it's supposed to do, not actually like what it actually does, if that makes any sense. Okay, so now class is basically over. There's a bunch of tags. I encourage you to expand on this website because by now you actually really have learned basically almost all there is to HTML. More complicated websites aren't more difficult, so you just have a bit more stuff. So you can write a lot of paragraphs for this, right? You can write a whole essay on this, a story, or you can continue doing the ingredients, and like for this piece of website, you can continue expanding on this. But yeah, if you have any more questions, you can go. I'm going to close this meeting because the time limit, and then you can just join right again. Okay, just to answer one question right now, quickly. Someone named Applewolf said, how do you open the website again? You find the folder that you save the file in. So for me, as in the desktop, you click open that folder and you find the file. Now you just double click the file and it automatically opens it up on the website. Okay. Great. So basically for HTML, that's all there is. Here, I'm just going to recommend you a very quick thing. You can just search for like HTML tags. You can see I've shown you only a few of them, but you can see the first thing is like HTML reference. It's a website, right? But you can just go here if you want, and you can see that there's tons of files. So there's like audio files, articles, like video. You can insert videos. You can insert buttons. You can insert tables. You can insert a bunch of stuff, and it shows you how it works. So if you can look at this website and play around with it if you want. But yeah, so there's tons, like hundreds of different files, different tags, but they're used mostly in exactly the same way, like this. And I have shown you the basic, most often used ones. So yeah, thank you guys. And if you have any questions, you can just join the meeting that I'm going to open right after this. All right, so yeah, stop sharing. Okay, yeah, you can just join the new meeting and bye-bye.